Thomas Benet was an Englishman who studied at the prestigious University of Cambridge, and history records that he became an ordained priest at a very young age, but he wrestled with a deep sense of dissatisfaction as the result of an ongoing struggle with lust. He desperately attempted to suppress those desires, but it was all to no avail. And so, in his quest for spiritual, physical, and emotional freedom, he traveled some 900 miles away to the country of Germany, seeking out the advice and counsel of Martin Luther. You see, Luther had battled those same kinds of desires during his time as a monk and also in the early years of the Reformation. Luther encouraged Benet to leave the priesthood and marry. He maintained that marriage was a necessary remedy for aberrant sexual desires, which he believed that celibacy frequently worsened. And so Benet took Luther's advice. He left the priesthood and he married shortly after, in the year 1524. As Benet and his wife started their family, they moved southwest to Exeter, England, and there he began teaching young children at the local school. It was during that time that Benet's spiritual and doctrinal convictions came to the floor, as he was unable to remain silent regarding what he believed was false teaching in the Roman Church. And as a result of that, he began publishing his opposition to certain doctrines by secretly posting written placards on the doors of the Exeter Cathedral. He wrote such denunciatory statements as, "We ought to worship God only, and not the saints." It was in October of 1530, during the reign of King Henry VIII, that the townspeople launched an investigation to identify who it was that was leaving these messages attached to their church doors. They determined that it was Benet, and subsequently he was arrested. A local friar by the name of Gregory Bassett tried desperately to persuade Benet to recant his beliefs, but that was just an exercise in futility. He absolutely would not retract his statements of faith, saying that Jesus Christ was the only means of peace with God and that truth was found exclusively in the Scriptures and not with the church nor a mortal man. Bassett would look at the convictions of Benet and ultimately say there has never been such an obstinate heretic. Thomas Benet was ultimately found guilty of heresy, and so Sir Thomas Dennis, the local sheriff, was given the obligation of carrying out the execution. The opponents of Benet were so driven by this infernal rage that the sentence turned into a bloodlust. Benet was initially strangled, followed then by being burned alive at the stake. It is said in Fox's Book of Martyrs that the young Thomas Benet died on the 15th of January, 1531, but did so with his hands and his eyes fixed toward heaven, and the words coming from his mouth, "Into your hands do I commit my spirit." And so the death of Thomas Benet fulfills the words of Psalm 116 and verse 15. "Blessed in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints." I am Billy Anger. I am encouraged and also convicted by some who gave their all.